And by the way, Taylor's soul card is the lover's card. That's a birth card, and it's mine too. And I really understand all the nuances. Sometimes it makes people feel crazy, and we do need to
overwhelmed,
and we do need to protect ourselves in some way, because there are all kinds of powers and forces.
Welcome to Fame and Fortune with your host, Taylor Fortune and Bianca. We've got Bianca Nova here filling in for BA Fame. What's going on, Bianca?
Hi there. Not much. I mean, I'm not BA, but I'm here and I'm happy to fill in her spot for her. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
As she wastes away in Margaritaville in Key West for like the third week in a row.
Hey, it's not a bad gig. I would much rather be in Key West anytime. So
I'm pretty envious. I'm pretty envious of all her Instagram posts. I'm like, she looks like she's in heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, but the guest of the day, Bianca's joining me for a special Mother's Day episode. I've been meaning to do this for months now, to have my mom on the podcast, where it all came from. Kabbalistic master, tarot author, author of Visionary Cosmology, Cosmic Interiors, Kabbalah and Tarot, the Spirit. The list goes on. The original OG occult spiritual guru, Pamela Eakins. Hello.
Thank you for having me on, Taylor.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and nice to meet you, Bianca.
Nice to meet you as well. Yes.
Yeah.
So we were going to have you draw a card for whether or not you should take a deep dive psychological journey with us over the next 45 minutes. What does your own deck, painted by your own mother, my own grandmother, tell you that you should do in this interview?
Oh, okay. So I'm shuffling the cards.
By the way, Bianca uses Tarot of the Spirit every single day.
Oh, go Bianca.
Yes,
go
I
Bianca.
love your deck.
Thank you very much. This is a Kabbalistic tarot deck direct to you from the ancient, so there's part of the deep dive, mystery school tradition. So this is a continuation of the Western mystery school. All right, we're drawing a card about deep dive. Okay, deep dive. Okay, wait, I have to get them right. Here we go. It's almost ready. It's almost ready. Deep dive.
She does 3 shuffles just like me. I didn't even realize that.
Well, just now I did.
Oh, that's my trademark. Unless I'm impatient.
I usually three I do, but the truth is, okay, we're ready for the card. I do read the cards. I listen. I connect with. There's the deep dive. It's all around us. There's no directionality in the universe, So below is not really below and above is not really above. We're on a planet that is spinning. Okay, so what I do is I listen. So I will shuffle the cards and I listen until I hear they're in order. Then I stop. But oftentimes I do three shuffles. And so today I did 3. Okay, here it is.
This is suspenseful.
Okay, and the answer is 3 of fire, birth of light. Okay, here's the deep dive.
Yeah.
The deep dive is a root ball. This is a root ball that goes deep down into the earth. So I said there's no direction, but there is. Because when you're on Earth and you're going toward the center of the earth, you are going what we call down. And this other direction is what we call up. Okay, so check this out. So this card, the 3 of fire means spirituality. It's spirit. Okay, I can't go into that too much. It would take too much time. 3 is creation, because there's a 1 and a 2 and they come together and then create the 3. Mm-hmm. And this card is about creation in spirit, moving forward. And the card says, stay on the path, you are going in the right direction. Do not veer to the right or the left, because if you feel like you can't in this very moment, it's like you're going up a hill and you can't yet see over the hill to where you're going, and you've been going up the hill for a long time, so you kind of feel like maybe I should turn off, maybe I'm not going the right way, maybe I should go right, maybe I should go left. This card says no, keep on, because in just a moment you are going to be at the top of the hill and you will have the entire vision of all that you need to know. So this card says keep on going, and it is the tree of life, which is a big part of what I'm working with. It grows out of this deep root ball that, and also you can't probably see this, but there are like serpents and beings at the bottom of the card, and those represent like the origins of all creation, moving up and moving out and growing up on the planet. So I'd say that's good for a deep dive. It's like deep into the root. Oh, I've got one more for you guys. Here's a cool one. The word root. A lot of this is about finding within ourselves what's called the radical intelligence, like radical, taking us into another place. And the root, rad, R-A-D itself means root. That's what it means, R-A-D. So it's like, here's the root. It's the radical intelligence emerging. So I think that might be a yes, let's go deep, maybe.
Well, and there are 1, 2, 3 of us. So.
Oh, and there are 3 of us.
Yeah. Now I might be able to take it one step further, because red for fire, we have blue for water, and then white kind of for air, it looks like. And we do have a fire sign, a water sign, and air sign here. So interesting.
Yeah, and there's even more, There's white is the wisdom too. So looking here on the white hair.
Yeah, third eye chakra.
This is fire also represents a male. It's a male suit, and this blue stands for water, which is female. So it's divine male, divine female, and I can be the white-haired one for the wisdom.
I think I was also the white-haired one like 3 hours ago. Oh man. Okay, I want Bianca to take it with the first question, because I'm sure she's curious.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I would love, I've heard so many great things about you, and I'm sure you're an amazing mentor to Taylor. He knows so much, and he's taught me so much. So I know that comes from you. So what was Taylor like growing up?
Oh, we're going deep already.
Okay.
Hi, how are you? What was Taylor like growing up?
Oh, that's so interesting, because I would not have guessed that Taylor would go in this direction.
No, hell no.
He's going in right now. No, I would not have guessed it.
What direction would I have gone in, Mom?
Well, there are overlaps for sure, because there are really strong and powerful overlaps because of his huge background in film and movies. And he's got a giant background, like ever since he was a little tiny kid. Taylor knew every movie, every actor, every director, the year the movie was made, and it didn't matter what movie it was or what genre it was. He had a comprehensive knowledge at age 10. So like you could say he's really smart. He has this ability to organize things. But I didn't know he was being so observant. So I'll put it this way. I used to take Taylor with me. I did a lot of other stuff besides, quote, the occult or psychic stuff. I had a regular career. I taught, I was a university.
You have a PhD.
And I taught at Stanford, got it. I have a large background aside from this, but I got really, really, really interested in the metaphysical path and the mysteries. Okay, so I started teaching that early on, like almost 40 years ago or whatever. And I used to take Taylor with me. so I would do all of these rituals and things out in nature. And
it was basically the Wiccan magic, but it wasn't called, you didn't call it that for like stigma reasons.
You know, you guys have to understand how different the culture was. The culture, it was a different culture.
Yeah.
It was a kind of a fundamentalist culture, not ready for the enlargement into these new ways of knowing. But Taylor called it was really funny. I did a lot of different stuff. Taylor was into music too. That was the other part. A lot of music, a big background in sound and film, you know, visual and audio. So I did a lot of music also in these classes I did that were in person. You know, we didn't have Zoom back then. And Taylor called it, he made fun of it. Yeah. Taylor's also very funny. And
when I was like a little kid,
You're still
he
really
was a little
funny,
kid. He was very funny as a little kid too. He got in a lot of trouble for that, like Taylor. Anyway, but he called it the ladies in their gowns, like dancing in the forest or something. That was what I think
I still call it that, but
yeah, what I didn't realize is that he was paying attention to the whole thing that was happening, how much attention he was paying. And of course, okay, I'll cut this answer off in a second here, but of course, what I did super notice was when Taylor started attending all my classes, but that was much later. But when he was a kid, he came with me a lot. And, you know, so I think that was a beginning. And we lived in an area where we lived in a natural setting where the elements were really predominant: fire, water, air, and earth, right on the edge, on a cliff on the edge of the continent over the Pacific Ocean. So it was like a very, very stirred up elementally. Mystical. Because I feel, if I hadn't moved to that place, I probably would not have done the work that I did, because it's like, so the nature, the feeling of the cosmos is so powerful. And so Taylor grew up in that and grew up in the water. Cool. Yeah. Surfing. Yeah. So what was he like? He was funny. That's the answer. He was funny. He was smart. He got in trouble. And he was in all the school plays, etc.
No, I wasn't in all the school plays.
Not all of them. He was in some of the school
I only did that for Kate. I didn't like the school plays. Yeah, I did it for her. My sister was a big theater, musical type person, and I really didn't like it. I played in bands and stuff like that, and I really liked that. But the school plays, I never felt comfortable in those.
Well, Taylor was a punk rocker and a singer. So even though he did a super good job of sliding across the floor, dancing in Guys and Dolls, sliding across the floor on his knees, apparently he didn't like it that much, but he really did a good job. So there you go. All right. Very talented. Taylor's very, very talented. Yes, he is.
Leo in their natural element. And you're Pisces, aren't you?
Yes.
Very cool.
Pisces.
Yeah. So that explains why you're drawn to such a spiritual, you're connected to such a spiritual realm. I feel like all the Pisces I've met are very connected to a spiritual, they have a very high intuition for spirituality with music, with art, their intuition. So I really, really connect with Pisces just because I have a Pisces moon, and that's where my emotions come from.
Pisces moon. Yeah.
So I'm very intuitive, like a Pisces, emotionally. Would you say that you're empathic or clairvoyant, clairaudient? How do you get your downloads usually? Do you write? Do you draw? Do you see?
I would say I'm empathic. And if you asked me this question 20 years ago, I would have said, but since you're asking me today, I would say, yes, I feel like I'm clairvoyant because I see spirits and images. I hear, this is what they lock you up for. They put you on the third floor, but I hear
I've been there.
voices. Yeah, they talk to me all the time. And, you know, I am in continual communication with, you know, whatever you want to call it. There are so many different names, and it's hard to understand because we all perceive in different ways. But I would say the clairsentience, you know, hair standing on end when something important happens, that kind of stuff, whatever it is, heart pounding, you know, the clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance comes with the territory, I think. And yeah, a lot of people don't feel it. A lot of people, they don't believe it because they don't feel it. But once you feel it, or once you sense it, or once you see something or hear something, or if you're doing a reading for someone and all of a sudden their departed spouse appears before you and starts talking to you with a message for them, I think that's how you define clairvoyance and you know, clairaudience. So yeah, I would say so. I think, you know, I took that all for granted, like kind of the being psychic part of it, because it seemed normal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mother and my grandmothers were, I wasn't as much, see why Taylor surprises me is because I wasn't as much in touch with the men in the family around it as the women in the family. And they all just acknowledged being psychic, and they would always know, like if someone was going to call on the phone, they would say, oh, you know, my mother is going to call any second. So, okay. Or some, and then the phone would ring.
I get that.
So yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, so yeah. What about you, Bianca?
I think that I'm more clairvoyant than anything else. I have repetitive dreams of a scenario. So I have the same dream over and over again, and then it happens. Or I'll just like be doing something and then I'll get kind of like a vision in my head. It's just like a scenario in my head, and then that person will text me or call me about what they were saying in my vision. So oftentimes I kind of have like a gut feeling type thing where like if I don't know which way to go, my gut knows, so I'll just follow that. Or if like danger's around, I feel like I know something bad's gonna happen before it happens type thing. So I think that's clairvoyant, just like seeing things before they happen.
And the dreaming part is also, that's really interesting. You know, it's really fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. I
What
think
about
really
you,
cool.
Taylor, by the way? What about you, Taylor? How do you feel about that?
No, I'm not clairvoyant. It's all clairsentience. It's all very, it's all feeling based. It's rarely visual, which is very strange because I'm an extremely visual person. But all my knowings are just like a really strong. They're in like the kind of heart chakra, throat chakra through heart chakra region. It's never in the crown chakra area. But it's really strong in the heart area, and I feel it like when I'm in the frequency, when I'm in the vibration. It's the clearest feeling I ever have, and now I can just walk through life, literally wherever I'm moving to. I follow something that's inside of me that's constantly like saying yes or no with every path I take. Like go this way, call this person, reach out, do that, and it's just this really strong intuition. You know, which is a little bit different than psychic energies. Intuition is more lower base frequency than a higher base frequency. But yeah, the clairvoyance is only so much as, like Bianca said, dreams occasionally, stuff like that possibly come true. But in my waking day-to-day life, it's all clairsentience. It's just pure feeling. Yeah.
You and I will text, Taylor and I will text at the same time, the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Like all the time. In our soul tribe, we have like a group text with all the soul tribe members in it. And literally like Taylor and I will text the same exact thing, the same exact time. It's just so ironic.
There's even times I don't text when I'll see that it's like 222, and I'm like, I texted like 111, so I'm not going to text this time. But I'm like, I know Bianca saw this right now, also. You know what I mean?
And then I'm like, 222.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I think this is something. This is a what will we call it? a medium or a modality or something like that that is available to our species if only if people are want to go into it, are willing to go into it, intend to open to it. And sometimes it comes to people who, I have clients, I also have a private practice, and I have clients who are very frightened when it opens and they're not expecting it. And then see, that's the part that sometimes it makes people feel crazy, and we do need to
overwhelmed,
and we do need to protect ourselves in some way, because there are all kinds of powers and forces. So, I guess that is the going deep. I don't allow any negative energies in, and I've had pretty good luck with that, because when energies are coming to you and you're perceiving them, then there are all kinds of the universe, the cosmos is filled. The unmanifest plane, I'll put it that way, is filled with energies that manifest and then move back into the unmanifest plane. So there are all these energies, and the propensity for life as we know it and all that exists throughout the universe. This is known, and this is not woo-woo or whatever. It's like scientifically known that every nebula that has been looked at has amino acids and all of the material to constitute life, to bring together the elements and to constitute life. And so we limit ourselves. That's what I think I'm trying to say here, is we limit ourselves through our cultural conceptions that tell us that certain things aren't possible, or that
100%.
Yeah.
I entirely agree with you. I tell people all the time that everyone has the ability to tap into that sense, that higher sense. But for some reason, I feel like as a community, we're taught not to use those senses. But like being psychic is like hearing and sensing and feeling and tasting. It's a part of our senses. Like our intuition is a part of our sense. But we, we're animals, so we have that animal instinct for protection. And I feel like that is just so what I've been explaining to numerous people over the last few days. So it's really funny that you bring that up in topic. Actually, it's kind of ironic. So
it's ironic. Why is it ironic? That's a good
just because I don't hear a lot of people talk about it very often. And like, I'm honored to have you here in front of me and speak with me. And you're bringing up something that I resonate with, like very close to my heart. So it's really cool. I think it's really awesome.
There's that psychic connection. There it is. Yes. There it is.
Yeah, Mom, you're speaking Bianca right now. She loves it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm speaking Bianca. Yeah. Okay, so I think, so for some reason then, quote, for some reason we don't go into that. So why don't we go into that? And I think, there are strong reasons why we don't go into it, because when we do go into it, it has the power to become socially disruptive, because we start seeing things in larger ways, which has the potential to create ripples in the social fabric and the social network and start to break down the power structures, which, this is why people who have had expanded abilities and develop that have been persecuted over time. They're dangerous, right? So it's better, like you can be a clown, and kind of go to the edge of what you can do with humor and all of that. But if you look at it really seriously and you really allow your consciousness to expand and to move into that expansion of consciousness, you're going to start seeing, I'm talking about any of us, we're going to start seeing in new ways that are going to expand the way we view our lives and our social institutions and so on. And we're going to start to want to modify some of those things, like our relationships, like say maybe it could even impact our geopolitical boundaries and stuff like that, because you start thinking differently. It's like you get up off the planet and you see you back off the planet and you move away from the planet. And the farther you get away from the planet, the more you see, oh, wow, that's just this little tiny, it's just this little tiny ball floating in space, spinning in space. And like pretty soon in just a second, you can't even see it anymore, but then you're in contact with this very large reality, and then when you zoom back in, you down into where you live, your zone, your job, all of this stuff that keeps us squished in. But I think that the power and the potential for humans is gigantic, and I would love to see us take those leaps. Even the astronauts, when I think about all these astronauts, who have been in space, they come back and they are changed. They are not the same as they were when they took off, because they have seen something that they never thought they could experience. They have gotten up off the planet, and they have moved out of all of those that social
limited
conditioning, limited thinking of social conditioning. Yeah.
I mean, so one of the elephants in the room with my spiritual journey is that so much of this happened in a hospital bed. Remember? That's how this awakening process began. And that was a real shift from before this, I was doing like acting and modeling and stuff like that. And that was all done. Like it was completely done after, my whole medical experience, because it was a shift in perspective, a cosmic perspective, getting divine downloads while I'm, there in isolation, just really ruminating on mortality, on my own life, my own purpose, my calling, why I'm here, who I'm supposed to meet, what I'm supposed to do. All of these things just over and over again playing out, set against the backdrop of divorce, moving back home, everything like that. Like, and I identify a lot with that perspective of like, astronauts who go out into space and suddenly they have this kind of cosmic view of everything, and everything seems smaller, different, or not the way that we imagine it to be. So yeah, trauma can also be a huge key factor in having those kind of very awakening experiences. And you were there for I talked to you a lot about that at that time, how my mind was just transmuting and just opening up into new areas, as like other doors in my life were just completely closing.
Right. Deep life review. Life review. It's like a very, very deep life review that has the potential to, because we're questioning the meaning, birth, why are we born, birth, death, what about resurrection? What happens after we die? What about eternal life? What wisdom is left? Does anything go on? All of these big questions. And when we have, I'll call it a confrontation with death, even if it's not like a real confrontation, but when we have brushes with death, like brushes anyway, however you want to call it, or near-death experiences, it causes us to reevaluate much of the conditions and structures and the forms and forces of our daily moment by moment life, because we pull ourselves back from that. And then we say, wait a minute, what about my, is there anything more? And if there is, how might I step into it? Or sometimes that's when we receive those, people talk about they're crossing over and somebody comes and tells them, wait, you're not done yet. You're not done yet. The work isn't done yet. Something's not done. Go back, or you haven't done this right. You haven't finished all your obligations, or this isn't the right way to do it because of your family. I mean, there are all kinds of things that happen, and there are all kinds of energies. And we could say, well, that's just internal, that we hold all those energies inside ourselves and it's internal. And, maybe it is, but it certainly feels like it's opening onto massive energies in a massive cosmos. And I believe that because that's where I also believe thought travels. Is this the deep dive? You know, you guys, I believe thought travels. And so you think something like you two having those psychic connections like that. It's like those telepathic, being on that wavelength. It's like this grid work, but it's not really lines. It's spaces, it's channels, it's energy moving, and we can perceive the energy moving when we get on those wavelengths or whatever you want to call it. And, you know, that comes to life. And we are thinking the same thoughts, which is why, oh, hey, I'll tell you, here's a good example of that. So I had no intention of doing a tarot deck. I mean, that was not anything in my consciousness, not anything. I was doing research at the university level. I was teaching. I was like really involved in this professional career. I had already, so I had a PhD. I had already studied all of the like psychological and sociological developmental theories. And that means like how consciousness comes to pass, you know, step by step by step and things like that. And then also there is developmental theory for societies, like step by step by step, like how they come to pass. And then I got pulled out of that one day by a mysterious woman who, you know, came into my life. I've been waiting for you. She said, okay, I'm not going to tell this whole story here, but she said, you're the one and you're going to create a tarot deck. Like, I'm not. That's going to ruin my career. I'm not going to do that. Oh, yes, you are.
Bianca, this is a true story. A gypsy found my mom. Like, I don't want you to tell the story here because for limited time, but like literally a gypsy found my mom in a diner and said, you're the one I've been waiting for. And I'm going to take you on as my apprentice and teach you tarot. Like,
she did. She
literally.
said, she said, I've been sitting here waiting for you for 2 months to walk in the door. They told me that you would be coming. And she said, second you walked in, the second you walked in, I recognize you, you're it. And I said, I don't want to do this. Oh, okay. I'll tell you a little bit more. I can tell it to Bianca because Taylor already knows. Okay.
I've heard it too many times, but it is a good story.
So interesting.
Because it's an old story, right? But so I was the director of a big research project actually at Stanford at the time, at Stanford University, right? So it's a Sunday. And she said to me, you are apprenticing with me. We are starting tomorrow. And I said, no, I have to go to work tomorrow. And this is before people worked at home. They didn't dare in those days, right? Like, no, we're starting tomorrow. And I said, well, I can't, I have to go to work, you know, and I'm heading up this project. And she said, you can and you will. Basically, you can and you will. And I said, wow, I guess I love adventure, right? So, and she was this wild gypsy. She even had a turban on and all this stuff. I mean, she was wild. So I said, well, maybe I can. We had secretaries in those days. And I said, maybe I could call my secretary and see if I could stay home, you know? So I did. I said, is it okay if I don't come in today? Could I work at home? Could you guys handle this without me? Yes. But here's the part I wanted to tell you. I did wind up creating a tarot deck. I did the book, Tarot of the Spirit, it's called. My mother wound up doing the paintings and she was an art professor. I was a sociologist. She was an art professor. She got called, but we lived 1,000 miles apart. She got pulled out the same way I got pulled out by a yoga teacher, but in a complete surprise where the yoga teacher pulled her out and said, you need to join this mystery school. Same thing happened with me. You need to join this mystery school. So it's independent. But here's what I wanted to tell you. When we started, because we weren't planning to do it, but we just got hooked. Both of it. I joined 3 Western mystery schools. Okay, because from a research point of view, you have to get 3 independent studies coming in so that you know something is true. And I was I was like a scientist, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm getting these 3 different opinions to see if they're kind of in agreement. And I'm studying, I'm immersing, I'm doing this. And she did the same thing. And we got totally hooked. So at that time, when we started, this is how long ago it was, there were 7 tarot decks on the market, 7. It took us 7 years to create Tarot of the Spirit. Oh, wow. It was a very deep dive. By the time we got finished with it, there were 700 tarot decks on the market, because what I'm leading up to here is the psychic download, because it came down like rain on the planet. Nobody knew that anybody else was working on any of this stuff. And then suddenly a few years passed, 700 tarot decks, and now there are thousands and thousands, way too many to count. You could never count them. Everyone's making their own now, It wasn't possible then. But see, why did all those people get the download all over the planet at the same time? And it was planetary. It was actually planetary. And, I have theories about that too. I have a lot of theories about why everybody got it at the same time. But in any event, that's that kind of psychic energy, and we may not even know it's happening. So like, you could emerge with something and you think you made it up. It's your creation. And then you find out somebody else is doing the same thing. And it's like, what? Wait, how'd they get that? They stole it from me. But actually we are getting these downloads, so if we recognize that's also part of what's happening, that can actually help us grow our awareness if we don't get paranoid about it. Okay, so that's this little story.
Definitely. Yeah, I've noticed that happening with astrology the last few years, where when I started diving into astrology when I was like 10 or 11, nobody really talked about astrology, but now I feel like everyone knows their rising sign, their moon sign. And at first I was skeptic.
Mercury retrograde. Yeah, everyone knows that,
Yeah, but now I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So many people I can connect with so many people about this subject that I love and care about so deeply. And I just love being able to have the amount of knowledge that I do have and share it with other people and teach them and learn together. And yeah, it's great. But I feel like that happened, like you said about the tarot decks, where there's very little of them. And now it's so expansive, everyone has tarot decks. But that's how I feel about astrology, for sure. Yeah,
me too. This is part of the collective unconscious happening all at the same time. It's a wave, it's a zeitgeist, and it it's affected the culture gradually, but in huge surges when it does come, and there was a surge in the 60s, there's definitely a surge in the 80s, and there has been a surge since COVID that has been unbelievable, because now the world has gone online and it's all digital. The communities that have been brought together are countless. It's so much bigger than anybody ever thought, in the past.
Oh, right. And global too. That's the other thing that we have discovered, that it's global, and even part of a global social movement. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I think one of the reasons that I think this happened and that this all started coming about was because I watched it start. I was there when it started to come about and it started to burgeon. And that was in the 80s. It was already, there, but in pockets, but it burgeoned, and it was burgeoning and burgeoning. Okay, so I think one of the big things that happened was that people knew, this is before the internet too, but people started to come to understand that we needed to go in a different direction about on this planet, because it was we already knew that we were facing mass extinction, oil was running out. We already knew all that stuff. So that was no news, but okay, but how are we going to address all these things? How are we going to work with it? So people look around and they say, this is what I think happened. They looked around and they said, there's no leadership. There's nobody who gets it. There's nobody who understands. There's nobody who knows. All right, what are we going to do? I don't know. Everybody's going, I don't know. They're thinking, I don't know what to do. So all of a sudden we had a burgeoning of tarot, of runes, of pendulums, of all kinds of cards, and anything that would take us into a deep introspective place. Because what we were looking for, without realizing it, or without realizing this was a gigantic social movement, we were looking for the answers within ourselves, you know. And so speaking of deep dive, and because we were the ones we were looking for, in the end, we're the one right now that stands, that holds true. We are the ones we're looking for. It's going to come from within us. So these ideas will emerge. They will come. They are coming. They do come through us. And then the other piece of that is, speaking of the deep dive, which is where we started, it feels like the deeper we go within ourselves open out onto the living cosmos. And then that's where we start getting these downloads, because of ourselves, you know, we're only a small part of the consciousness, that of the ubiquitous consciousness of the cosmos. There you go.
Wow. That's really interesting. It's
Print
really
that take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big stuff. I mean, I do think it's really big stuff. And it is, in fact, I mean, true too. It is the way, what I learned about it is there is an outflow, and they call it a path of emanation by which things happen. And that outflow is contained in the tarot. It's like the 1 through 10 outflow. And then it's got these four different elements: fire, water, air, earth, basically, just, you know, like astrology. And then it's got the 1 through 10, this 1 through 10 sequence. So, you know, one of the things that we can learn is the sequence, but then we're always surprised because it doesn't necessarily move in a sequence. It can be very random. It's like chaos. The chaos happens. Cosmos is the organized, the organization. Cosmos means organized and orderly. So we have the cosmos and the chaos, and they need to work together because the chaos is the element of surprise, you know. So that's always happening. But one of the things that I discovered was that not only does consciousness unfold along those lines and with that sequence. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. I had studied all these developmental processes in psychology and sociology from the university, you know, when I was in school. Well, when I discovered the processes of development inherent in the tree of life in the Western Mystery School, I was so blown away by it, because I thought this is better than anything I learned in graduate school. I mean, this is deeper, it's vaster, it's more correct, everything about it. It's like this ancient knowledge. So, but learning that, they say, and this is like the legend part of it, this is how the universe is built. This is how the universe unfolds. These are the pieces, these are the elements. So I started looking at science, and from the point of view of science, what the scientific community is looking at, and then how the universe is emanating, like what the steps are, what the stages are, especially in cosmology. It's how the universe is born, and it goes through these stages. And I discovered they are the same stages. They're the same stages because we know what the stages are. So the scientists who are developing the studies of the universe know it intuitively already. They know it intuitively. Like if you create a hypothesis and do a study on it scientifically, your chances that your hypothesis is correct, it's not 50-50. It's more like a 90% chance your hypothesis is going to be correct, because you know intuitively how things begin to unfold. So I'm going to hold up my book. So I wrote this book
I was gonna say, are you gonna pitch?
Yeah,
visionary
here
cosmology.
I'm going to pitch. This is not what I expected to do today, but I'm going to pitch visionary cosmology, because this, without even mentioning the words tarot or Kabbalah, walks you through this unbelievable sequence. Now, I don't know how this fits with astrology, because I haven't tried to overlay, I haven't done the astrology part of it with this yet, but I've done the Kabbalistic part.
But
and
believe it or not,
Mom,
we in my tarot class, we teach the 10 cosmological powers of the universe. Culled from the pages of visionary cosmology, always credited to you, but I have changed some of the names to modernize it for, the kids these days. But we talk about visionary cosmology on day one.
Wait,
as we're talking
modernize
about.
it? Wait, I modernized it for
I know,
the kids today.
I simplified it. You made it academic, and I made it basic. We're classical music versus punk rock.
Oh, well, that's interesting, because I also teach it in my tarot classes.
I know. Well, you're my greatest competition,
Oh my gosh. So I'm still teaching tarot, and I am on fire with it. It's still, I am still absolutely on fire with it, because it is such a brilliant system, and can connect us in with the with all those psychic things we're talking about, those psychic phenomena. Plus, it does include, it includes the astrology too, but there would be a couple of schools of thought on that, because it includes the astrology as I'm talking about the astrology that was passed down. We didn't invent the astrology. We went with the astrology that was passed down as a symbolic system. So when you're looking at it, you're looking at it more as a symbolic system, and it would frustrate you. If it frustrated me in the beginning, because I looked up and they said, oh, this is Mars in Scorpio or something, and I'm like, no, it's not. because you're looking up, and so it's a symbolic system. So we have to understand that. We have to understand how the symbolic system moves, how it develops, what the purpose of it is, and how it was put in place. And it's extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary, So anyway, yeah.
I have a question. Did you write your tarot deck interpretations of each card? Yeah, it comes with like a book.
Yes. Yeah.
You wrote those.
Yes.
I love them.
Thanks. So let me plug that. So I do have my, oh my gosh, this poor, old copy, like with all this. Oh my gosh, I have drawings from Taylor stuck in here from when he was a kid.
Anyway, show us one.
Okay, maybe I can. No, I can't take too much time.
I'll edit that out of the.
So this is the book. This is the original book, Tarot of the Spirit, which I wrote, but then it, for those who wish to go far deeper, and so these two books, they overlap, but they're not the same. Is this book, which is called Kabbalah and Tarot of the Spirit, and this is gigantic. This thing is oh my god, it's 800. It's 800 pages.
I've read it. So I've read that thing cover to cover. It was a beast.
So this is the Bible. This is the Bible, and I left out about Taylor that he was an extraordinary artist. Oh wow! Oh my gosh, he could draw anything. So you're saying, what was he like as a kid? So there he was. He was a musician. He was an artist. Mm-hmm. Oh, totally an artist. Absolutely. Yeah. An actor, a comedian, and
I don't know where this comedian came from. I don't think Bianca thinks I'm that funny.
You are funny.
I got like dad jokes nowadays.
Yeah. You have the dad jokes.
Oh god.
He has his special form of humor, which, speaking of the dads, irritated the dads quite sufficiently along the way. So,
the proxy surrogate stepdads.
Yeah. I know I am looking in this book right now. But
you don't have to show a drawing. I don't know.
I want to, but the thing is, there's so much stuff stuck in here, and I don't know where. Oh, here's something. Woo-hoo. This is, speaking of fortune, this is the Wheel of Fortune card out of a weight deck. Okay, so when I was apprenticing with that woman, so I was a scholar. I've said that several times, but like I'm realizing right now how much that was so much a part of my mentality. So she says, you're going to do this. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I go to the library because there was no internet. I went to the library to research the subject, and there was very little at the library, but there was a book on tarot by Joseph Campbell, which was absolutely shocking. I've never seen that book since. So I checked the book out, and I feel like the librarians are going to spot me as, as danger or something. You know, I felt really weird even checking out a book on the tarot, because those were the days. It was a long time ago. So I take the book home. I'm reading the book, and out falls this card, the Wheel of Fortune. It's in the middle of the Joseph Campbell book. Somebody used it as a bookmark, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, I should return that. I should return that to the library, because somebody's missing a card in their tarot deck. You know, I should take it back to the library. No, don't take it back to the library. If you take it back to the library, they're surely going to spot you as the witch you are. Don't take it back to the library. So I kept it. And so here I have the Wheel of Fortune. I could never in a million years have guessed in that moment that this project of creating a tarot deck would inform everything I would do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
This knowledge and this information. The wheel turned, and I was on it, you know, I was right there, and it became my life. And look, Taylor, now I know where you got your name, Taylor. You got it from that moment when that card fell out of the book.
I've been pulling that card a lot lately. That in the World card.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. See, and I do believe it is changing, and it's precarious, though. I mean, you know, I'm putting those two together. I'm thinking of them right now from a point of view of where our world actually is right now in the Wheel of Fortune, and everything's changing and everything's turning, and it's really precarious and scary. But like, say, you know, Ukraine and Russia, for example, I know, so that's what's happening right now at the time of this interview. And I am totally in touch with people in Ukraine and Russia who think just like we do. In fact, Tarot of the Spirit was pirated in Russia, and I'm happy about it. I'm glad, you know, because they couldn't get the decks, so they made, you know, their own decks, and I'm really happy about it. I'm thrilled about it. Mom, I'm so glad it's happening. Yeah.
If you find a picture, go ahead and show up. We're gonna wrap in just a minute here, and
we're gonna wrap, are we?
Yeah,
just before I find the picture.
I know. Yeah, we don't have to show the picture. I don't know what it's gonna be. And don't show a bad picture and say I was like 22 years old. If it, you know, she does that sometimes. She messes up like my age, and I'm like, I was like 9, Mom. Taylor drew this when he was in college, and it's like a stick figure.
Yeah. No, I'm really sorry that I can't find the one I was looking for. But you know, I could. But I will tell you what it was. I can't find it. Dang it! I know it's in there, but there's so much stuff in there. So the one I was looking for that I happened to just stick in there was Da Vinci's picture from the Sistine Chapel of the two fingers coming together.
Michelangelo.
It was Michelangelo.
Yeah.
I mean, Michelangelo. Yeah, Michelangelo. And he's got both of the figures, and they're really beautiful. And I think he was about 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was at the Sistine Chapel when I was 9. I think I drew it looking up at the, I brought my sketch pad with me I was a little pretentious kid. Looking up at the ceiling.
Journal a lot. He used to carry my journal.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's right. Yeah, incredible. So, all right.
Yeah, pitch
can
yourself, pitch your classes, and we'll just wrap it up there. So where can people find you? How can they sign up for your classes?
All righty then,
Yeah.
as Jim Carrey would say. Okay, let's see. Okay, I am Pamela Eakins, Eakins. Taylor has diverged quite far from any of that. And www.pamelaeakins.net, www.tarotofthespirit.com, www.pacificmysteryschool.com, and YouTube. I mean, I've got a lot of YouTubes happening.
Got a bigger following on YouTube than I do, that's for sure.
I never look at the follow, but it does blow me away when anyone watches anything, because I only make them for my students. I don't make them for the public, but sometimes other people are interested. But I've been teaching this for a long time, and I've had some thousands of students over the years, and it's been extremely enjoyable, and I'm still doing it. I still have a number of classes. So that's the end of the tale. And I think that wraps it up. And I think it's all about your soulmatehood.
That's Bianca's card.
The cosmos.
That is Bianca's card. And Wheel of Fortune is kind of my card in a way, so it's interesting.
Yeah, that's so ironic that you pulled that. That is, I'm an Aquarius. That's the symbolism for Aquarius, the star card.
Yes, it is. This is Aquarius. And I'm really lucky to have an Aquarian moon. Speaking of, we all know our stuff.
Oh.
And maybe even luckier to have Capricorn rising. Otherwise, I would be totally out in the ozone. Okay, which I am pretty much already, and loving it all the way. All right, sailing through the crack in the cosmos. And that's what, when you were talking about Pisces earlier, I thought for Pisces, the veil between the worlds is always thin. It doesn't even have to be Day of the Dead, or Halloween. It's always thin. It's always thin.
Right. I love that about you guys. It's really cool.
And what I love about Aquarians is their futuristic thinking. And so I'm really trying to activate that in my life as much as I can too. What about the future, and how is that going to unfold? And by the way, Taylor's soul card is the Lover's card. That's a birth card, and it's mine too. And I really understand all the nuances. I can't say I understand them all, but there's so many nuances there about what that is all about, and balancing around a blade, so, okay. All right, we can wrap then.
We appreciate it.
You're absolutely wonderful. It was so great to meet you. Thank you for all of everything that you shared with us. I've learned so much today. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me for Mother's Day. How fun. I get to be the mom. I get to be the mother. And that is a real kick, to be as a mother. Wow. Okay. Love it.
Happy Mother's Day. All right.
Thank you, Taylor. Love you, Taylor.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.